right, it's another episode of the One Morning I'm Outta Here podcast coming to you from the Illegal Shift Studio. And what am I hearing in my? That's what I'm hearing. That's me. And I'm Dan Carroll. Welcome to the show. I'm going to go ahead and open my first beer.
Good work.
And the one thing I do not want to talk about today is golf. I don't want to talk. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want you to ask me any questions about it.
All right,
I am divorcing myself from that subject, although I did get two closest to the pins today. So,
all right. So I'm going to say you played today.
I'm not talking about it.
But you played. That's why you don't want to talk about it.
I'm not talking about it.
Okay, fair enough.
But it was it was a very nice day to be out there.
You had a great day to not play golf today and not talk about it.
Please don't bring it up again.
I won't. That's it. Although I will bring up golf in the fact that I'm playing tomorrow with all of our neighborhood friends. And your son actually is going to be playing.
That's what he says.
Yeah, well, that's what he says. That's right there. What you just said. Dan, how's your week been?
My week is good. We're going to cover some of you may have noticed our third, Andrew Pappas, is not here today. He was a little embarrassed by some of the testimony that came out at the P. Diddy trial. So we'll get to that.
He's laying low.
I mean, what can you imagine anything more brutal than that?
Oh,
I mean, don't spill it yet, but
no, definitely not.
I saw that, man, and I was like, that's like fucking put a gun in your mouth.
That you are not wrong. I mean, it's you have an ex-girlfriend.
That's horrible.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. So I want to hit real quick. If you looked at the thumbnail and you saw it, and my bestie, my fiance, Joe Billy 007, sent me an article, which we had covered one similar, but she sent me an article, and I was like, you know what? Instead of throwing a political thumbnail up, we're going to throw something fun, flirty, if you want to call it that. I kind of feel like this was me when I was in kindergarten. The story we're getting ready to get into. And I don't know how it all transpired. I'm going to read through the article real quick because I read it already, but it doesn't really say how this happened. But who doesn't like to party and who doesn't like jello shots? I know you partake in jello shots at any party that I
love a jello shot, and I'm just thinking if they would have been available when I was a kid, and maybe they were. I have no idea how long jello shots have been around.
I don't know either.
But they didn't come into my life until, late 20s, mid 30s, something like that.
Yeah.
Jello shots. What a great idea. But if I was a kid, I probably would have enjoyed a few if I could have got my hands on.
That's right. So the story comes out. This is from our local 12, but it's not from here. But EMS called to school after kindergarten student hands out jello shots to classmates. So Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Oh, weird.
Now let me ask you a question.
Pennsylvania. Shocker.
Isn't that a little bit of an overreaction?
I think it is.
Do first responders really need to show up for something like this because they're jello shots at school?
Well, the school was covering their ass. I see where you're going.
Yeah.
To me, it would be, my kid's sick. My kid's drunk and has a tummy ache, has a headache. But school's covering their ass.
And you as a firefighter paramedic can do what for that kid?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely nothing. Give you a teddy bear and take it to the hospital. Then the hospital's going to be like, okay, so what?
Yeah, little nappy time.
Right.
Little nappy time. Might have a little headache when you wake up, but you'll be all right.
So out of Johnstown, Pennsylvania, EMS was called to an elementary school after a kindergarten student handed out jello shots to their classmates. According to CBS News, an investigation is underway after a kindergarten student at an elementary school in Johnstown passed out jello shots. All right, that's two. That you're a media guy and I'm not. That's two of the same sentences. Who wrote that? It's two of the same sentence, essentially.
Well, look,
That's
the people who write these stories.
That's horrible copy.
Yeah,
horrible copy.
It is. The people who write.
I'm not even a media guy.
You would be surprised by the caliber of individuals who are behind the scenes on some of this stuff.
This is not her, by the way. This is not the mom. That's just an ad. But the superintendent confirmed that, in quotes, immediate action was taken, end quotes, after staff learned of what was happening. The officials telling CBS that the student gave out, end quotes, alcohol in the form of a small jello cups to 3 other classmates. The network reported students were evaluated in the nurse's office, with EMS later called to take them to the hospital out of an abundance of caution. Okay.
Did they speak with the young man's parents, the young boy's parents?
Well, and that's something that's not completely clear. That when this story came out, it was still happening, but district officials confirmed they are cooperating with authorities as they work to figure out how the student got a hold of alcoholic jello cups.
Well, why don't they get a hold of the parents and say, look, this is frowned upon in school. Don't do this anymore.
We can't do this. This cannot come in your brown bag.
It seems like a pretty common sense thing.
We are currently in possession of the jello cups.
Oh, for God's sake.
And the matter is under investigation. We are cooperating fully with local authorities to determine how the student came into possession of these items and to ensure the continued safety of our students and staff.
You know what happened if that would have happened in our school district?
Oh my God.
There would have been a party. There would have been all kinds of there probably been a giant orgy going on.
Andrew Pappas would have supplied them.
I'm telling you.
He would have supplied all the jello shots. I like how they call them jello cups too. What kind of losers are you? They're jello shots. Let's just be real. Yeah. And all your teachers, I'm gonna say it, all your teachers in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, know they are exactly jello shots.
And our friend Melissa makes the best ones.
Yes, she does.
They are killer. I'll put her jello shots up against anyone.
Up against this kindergartners all day long.
Yeah, those kindergartners don't know. They don't know nothing.
We want to assure our families that the health and the well-being of our students are a top priority. Counselors and support staff will be available for any students who may need assistance processing today's events.
Why do you need counselors for that?
This is why I wanted to read this story. We're going to bring in peer counselors.
This is why America's so fucked up.
So and the other reason,
the kids need counselors for that, because when we were kids,
I got drunk.
We were kids, if Dad left an open beer sitting around, I'm grabbing that thing. I'm knocking it down.
Hell yeah!
I know they used to have parties at the house.
Why do you think I drink Miller Lite now? That's what my dad drank.
Yeah.
Well, that and old Milwaukee's, which I could still drink.
You remember the scene in Caddyshack where what's the Smales kid? What's his name?
Oh,
goes goes around. He's drinking all the drinks. And he drinks the one with the cigarette butt in.
Oh, what is his name? Shit! God damn it!
What is that? I just remember the one scene where it says, "I got $50," says this male kid picks his nose.
I can't. Oh shit! It's some stupid.
What is that? Too. What is his name? It'll come.
But this story that we pulled it up because it comes after a Texas mother, Teresa Isabel Spalding. That's
his name was Spalding.
Yes, good work. Allegedly brought jello shots to a Christmas party in an elementary school in 2024, which resulted in nearly all affected students reporting head and stomach aches.
See, that was the thing. When I saw the headline on this story, I said, didn't we already talk about this? Because it was the same thing. We had the same thing crop up.
That's the reason I wanted to cover it, because we hit it once. But Jill sent that to me, and I was like, oh, good for that kid, though. So here's my synopsis of how things happened, how it transpired.
All right.
So he getting ready for school. All right, Johnny, we're leaving in 5 minutes. He's like, oh, okay. Well, he goes. He wants to get a snack out of the fridge and take to school. Well, he's like, ooh, Jello. Fires a bunch of fucking Jello shots in his bag, and guess what? As I put in the synopsis, sharing is caring. So he at least had the wherewithal to share with some of his classmates. So I can appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, the notion that you need counselors on hand, to talk to kids through that is ridiculous. Beyond ridiculous.
So we're gonna bring a friend of ours on since Andrew decided to ghost us 40 minutes before showtime. We reached out because
love that dedication, Pappas,
and we love the podcast community and the fact that we network and we get to know people and we know people everywhere. And we're going to bring our buddy James McGee on, who's been on. I've been on his show. He's been on this show.
James,
and it's
my brothers.
Pleasure to have you, my man.
Always a pleasure to be here. I look forward to being here every time you'll have me. And I'm no Pappas, but I'm sure give it my fucking best.
Well, you woke up, so you're better than him. So it's good.
Well,
y'all been doing okay?
We need a little culture in this show.
Right.
Well, we're definitely in full force of culture, Louisiana culture right now. That's for sure. With the buffoonery going on.
So yeah, so we're bringing James on because I don't know if anybody hasn't seen the news, the fact that and I'll try to pronounce it correctly, Louisiana.
I say Louisiana. Some
right,
people, there's different pronunciations of it, but Louisiana is good too. There's a lot of things you can call this state right now. With what we have on some parts of the state now, I'm on the complete opposite end of New Orleans. New Orleans is on the Mississippi side, and I'm on the Texas side. But I-10 runs through both. And, I-10 is goes all the way to, I don't know, New Mexico or Arizona or somewhere up there. So I-10 is a big deal. And this escape happens in New Orleans. It puts the whole state in other states. Anybody on the I-10 corridor, puts them in danger. And this can be prevented. This is what's got me really fired up is it can be prevented. And it's another example. It's just like, y'all I covered what happened New Year's Day or New Year's Eve in New Orleans. And the police chief is a complete ass clown. Well, come to find out the sheriff is even more of an ass clown. It's really just, and this is the thing with this is that the sheriff is elected, so people actually voted to put this clown in office. So the American voter is a problem.
James, real quick, but for the audio listeners, I just threw up just an image, a graphic, but we have a video. 10 inmates escaped from a New Orleans jail. So in case you hadn't watched the news, that's why we have James on, because he's got some I don't want to say inside information, but he's got closer information than we have.
Well, we've been following it. So my wife, and I tried to get her to come on with me, but she is she is a warden at our jail here.
Tell her I'm offended that she did not come on.
Well, she won't even come on mine, but I mean she'd probably come on yours first because she doesn't like me. But she doesn't want to do any kind of podcast until she retires in a couple of years.
No, I get it.
Her filter doesn't work a lot. It malfunctions, and she's kind of like me. I didn't want to do this until I can say what the hell I want to say. So we definitely have some plans when she retires. But we've been following it, and this is totally preventable. It's a leadership issue. Of course, when you have people in office like Susan Huttman, who is the sheriff, and the group of Mamalukes that she has leading that jail. This kind of stuff is going to happen because the first thing they've done is blame everybody. Well, this is a total leadership issue. They're blaming manpower and funding and all this other stuff. Well, all that stuff is the responsibility of the leaders. So if y'all want, I'll kind of go through, if y'all want me to, I'll kind of go through the timeline.
Yeah, please do.
And show how absolutely terrible, this is. So they were discovered at 8:30 that the escape happened. So then they started looking into it. The actual escape occurred at 12:20 a.m. So 8 hours. And I'll get to some of the problems with that, how it should have been, caught sooner. At 1 a.m., the whole group of them are seen, if y'all seen the videos, are running across I-10. The sheriff wasn't even notified till 9 a.m. of this. Okay.
That is beyond ridiculous. That part of this story is beyond ridiculous right there.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, it gets worse. The way they treat, the way when she's notified, at 10:15, they never notified the media. At 10:15, the media got some tips from a source and notified them. And her excuse was, we want to confirm that they had actually escaped. That's not how this works. That's not how it works. It's a public safety issue. They're trying to do damage control, and they're trying to spin it, and they're trying to play the blame game and take it off of them. Well, you worry about getting your credibility back later. Right now, it's a public safety issue. They didn't even notify other law enforcement agencies for several hours.
Like to be on the lookout, like, hey.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is, I worked in a jail years and years ago. And like I said, my wife, runs a jail, but I was heavily involved in every time we had escapee. And let me tell you what, it was immediate public alert. And like, hey, we dealt with it later. If we made a mistake, we dealt with it later. But we weren't trying to cover up an escape because of public perception. We'll handle the fallout later. And how you handle the fallout is you get up there and you fucking own it. And they of course did not do that. They hold their first press conference at 11 a.m. Then NOPD with Jason, with your friend Chief Kirkpatrick, she gets up there. Now they're all fighting. She's criticizing them, and then the sheriff is, you got a sheriff. Let me get on well, let's go. I want to get on her in a minute. And I'll talk about some of the things that I see a problem is. I'll let y'all chime in. Y'all, I mean, you want me to continue? I mean, I can go on. What?
No, go ahead. I'm watching.
Okay.
I dialed up the video of this guy.
I've got a video.
Working on the door. I mean, this guy is working on this door for a couple of minutes, and then he's joined by another individual, and the door is a sliding door, so they get it loose.
Oh, here, I got it right here.
And I can only imagine the racket that they're making there, and for them to be unsupervised for that amount of time is beyond.
Oh, there's a bunch of problems here, Dan. And let me tell you, I'm not minimizing. Jails are complicated, and
sure.
The sheriff that I worked for, he would always say, "Man, we had a big department. We had a 900 person department." And he would always say, "Man, if I get rid of that jail, I'd have no problems." So it is complicated. So I'm not trying to, but jail security is not rocket science. It's about two things: having a secure facility, which they didn't, and people doing their fucking jobs, which they didn't.
Yeah.
And it starts at the top.
Video real quick.
Okay.
Video.
They get it open. Subsequently, they go inside that cell, and this is where you see them exiting the loading dock door.
It's kind of a shit video.
As you notice, they are carrying blankets.
But they all
with them.
scattered like rats off a pirate ship.
This looks like another country. This looks like something in another fucking country. But New Orleans is another country.
As I explained, they subsequently go through another door, and here, at some point, you can see them come through here, and they scale the fence through this door that's near the construction site. They scale that fence, and then make good on their escape, crossing all lanes of I-10.
I ended up getting rid of the access storage, but really, the only thing that matters is the fact that they had 10 inmates escape. I mean,
doesn't that look like something that you see in another country?
Absolutely.
I mean, like I said, New Orleans is another country, but
I pulled this up too. So, and these are all like and I know you were coming up with bullet points or whatever, but defective locks and doors, holes in the walls, inoperable cameras, insufficient staffing, which you texted me earlier, which I mean, I wasn't aware, obviously. I mean, I don't know that. Possible inside help, loading dock exit. Like, these are just things that are just hitting the social media right now. I just screenshotted this off my phone. I was like, I'll just screenshot it just to throw something up.
Well, let me debunk Yeah, I mean, I can debunk everything that they're saying. First off, when you are 60% staff, that means nobody wants to work for you. So you're the problem. They're blaming funding and all that, but that's typical of what liberals do. But again, it's the voters that are the problem. When you elect a sheriff who has absolutely no law enforcement experience, she was an attorney, came from LA, and was a anti-police advocate who was an civilian oversight. So now she's the sheriff. When you elect Wheezy Jefferson from the show of Jeffersons as a sheriff, that's with no law enforcement experience. It would be like me having this huge, the biggest, Orleans Parish Jail is the biggest one in the state. So if I own the biggest plumbing company in the state, all right, and it was falling apart, I'd go hire a person don't even know how to unplug a toilet. Why there wasn't a cop that could be the sheriff there? That makes absolutely no sense. It's just like this chief, when they went God for word, they get this chief from, it was like from Oakland or Portland or somewhere like that. That's where the problem lies. But the basic jail guidelines, my wife and I sat down earlier, and the basic jail guidelines is every 6 hours you have a formal inmate check. Well, a formal check is if you're an inmate, if you're in sleeping, you wake up, you identify yourself, you match the face with the ID, and that's 4 times every 20. That's every 6 hours. So this should not have happened. An informal, which should have been done several times through the night, was, hey, I have 30 people in this dorm, and there's 30 people. There are 30 people are supposed to be here, and there's 30 people are here. So if people would have been doing their job, but that all comes from leadership. And the fact that the door locks didn't work. Well, here's the other thing that we personally experienced here. We didn't have inmates in our jail for 4 years because of the hurricane, because our facility wasn't up to date, and then we lost a lot of employees. If you don't have the proper staff, then you don't house those inmates. These inmates were maximum security inmates being housed in a minimum security block of the jail because of manpower issues. So we just got, and look, this has been almost 5 years. In the past year, we're still not at full staff of inmates because they're the short. Same thing that's going on in Orleans, we have here. So what we were doing was we'd book them in, we were shipping them off 4 hours away because we could not successfully house them. That's how you do that. And so you can't give that doesn't fly. This short staff and all that, none of that flies, or the doors don't work. Well, if you can't properly secure the fucking facility, then you look at alternatives. You contract with the Department of Corrections, you contract with another sheriff who actually has a good facility and competent leadership.
Isn't that weird? Completely different scenario, but the collaboration between, at least here in counties, and the fact that we have a gentleman who is accused in Hamilton County, but is being housed in Claremont County. Our county sheriffs around here, I feel like all have a good working relationship.
I think they do.
To be able to, facilitate said things. So yeah.
Well, in this state, it is. I guarantee you, our sheriffs in this state are top notch when it comes to working together. Except for Orleans, they don't work with anybody. But if you look at a political map, and you look at any time there's a statewide election or national election, you have a bunch of red and one blue dot.
I can pretty much.
And it's not a coincidence that every time there's a problem in any kind of city, there is common denominator is ran by Democrat leadership. And Wheezy from the Jeffersons was a DEI elected official, and she is absolutely terrible. And I looked up earlier, and our sheriffs are very powerful when it comes to they get any legislation they want passed. You cannot remove a Louisiana sheriff. What I was hoping was it was like Florida. Remember in Florida when they removed the Broward County sheriff because of his incompetency in the school shooting?
Yeah.
She should be removed, but the governor does not have that power. Now,
Well, that's
our
just
governor,
it. People got to be held. We live in a world, we live in a time when no one is held accountable for anything. And as I read this one article, they talk about at the time of the escape, no deputy was assigned to Pod 1D, the civilian corrections technician monitor. So that's a fancy title for a guy who watches TV all day, and watches the monitors there. Had stepped away from the pod module for food, just briefly. So to my way of thinking, protocol should be that there should always be a deputy there 24/7, probably one for each pod. If someone who was watching the monitors has to step away from the monitors, then you got to get someone else to sit there while you're gone. So you can't, what good is a monitor if no one's watching it? Right. And this was not briefly, or else he would have noticed this guy working on this door, and it looked like it was way more than 2 minutes. This guy's cranking on this door. I mean, he's got, it's a sliding door like this, and he's got his foot up against the wall, and he's pulling on it. And then a guy comes over and helps him with it, and they get out. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. That is insane that you run a facility with, at any level, when you got people locked up, they are going to be desperate to get the hell out of there. So if you have, you're running a facility that haphazardly, I think it goes right back to the very first thing you said. It's a leadership issue.
100% leadership issue. But let me tell you what a civilian correction, in my opinion, when I hear the position, I don't even understand what the fuck this is. Civilian corrections monitoring tech. What that person is a person that couldn't qualify to be an actual deputy, didn't meet the qualifications to be an actual cop. So they're a civilian employee. So that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with a low-level security guard who's watching cameras. So they're not even they're a monitor. They're probably not even the same room. They're just monitoring some off-site somewhere else, part of the jail. But why wasn't there even a deputy there? Like I said, they're blaming manpower.
Who is the image that we're seeing now all of a sudden? I don't know if she was a captain or whatever with the big butterfly green glasses. I can't. I was trying to grab an image. Every press conference. Ooh, that was close. That was almost. I grabbed it. That was close. I was trying to grab an image because the press conference I saw, and I've seen so many videos, and now everything is being honestly directed away from the escape. And the escapees to this person that they put in front of the podium who had glasses that looked like this, bright green, and not very well spoken at all. And
none of them was. None of them were. I couldn't understand. One of the administrators that spoke.
Well, this might be.
We were watching. I looked at my wife and said, "What the fuck did he just say?" I have no idea what he said. So it shows. I mean, it's very easy to figure out why this happened, but it's an embarrassment. It affects the entire state. Like I said, my house is 4 miles from I-10. They're traveling I-10 one direction. If they've left New Orleans, they're going I-10.
Well, tell me about the governor, because the governor came out and said you can run, but you cannot hide. And so, are they going? Are they going full force? They going all out to catch these skells?
Our governor? I'm kind of indifferent on the governor. Like some of his actions, he's just very radical, and he's just kind of a showboater. But let me tell you what: when something like this happens, that's the motherfucker you want in charge. He is going to make shit happen. I guarantee you. I guarantee you, he called that sheriff and he said, "Hey, y'all that's not the sheriff. I don't know who the fuck this is."
New Orleans Captain Stephanie Gibson.
Oh, for God's sake!
Oh, Jill.
I'm sure she wants to be taken as a serious individual.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you put that? In all honesty,
Yeah, my
I understand
God,
everybody
my
has
God.
a job, right? But how do you put that out in front of national news cameras? How do you put
Well,
that out?
yeah, the fact that you don't see a problem with it says exactly why this happened.
Just,
They're just
just get some
they're
different
incompetent.
glasses and you're fine. But you're a little
You
bit
know,
you're a little bit bougie. I
She's
mean, it's
not.
not
And look, she's not a bad representation in uniform. She looks pretty sharp, other than the fucking glasses. But she puts the glasses on, she looks like a complete
it
bozo.
looks like a clown. You know,
Yeah.
and I'm
holy
reminded.
shit!
You know what this?
Holy shit!
What?
This is great. Our buddy Drew Breedsy's in the house.
Oh,
He goes, Captain Scary Carrie. But then he also says her glasses were inspired by Dan's shirt.
there you go. They match my shirt. But you know what I'm
Nicely
reminded.
done, Drew. I
You know what this
more than you
reminds
know.
me of is New Year's Eve, New Orleans, when a car drives down Bourbon Street. And how many people were killed in that? 6, 7 people killed on New Year's
Yeah.
Eve because
Mhm.
they didn't have the barriers in place. You know, they knew they were going to have all thousands of people out there wandering around the streets, and this guy's able to turn the corner and drive at high speed, breakneck speed, and run people over on Bourbon Street. And then you remember the FBI agent who came out and talked about that, and she was obviously a DEI hire, completely incompetent, had no idea what she was talking about. And the next day, she was gone. You never saw hiding her hair.
Yeah, she's gone.
I mean, this gal with the green glasses on reminds me of her. It might be her, for all I know.
I knew I saw.
And then you had that numbnut police chief out there, who's who's talking. And she's probably
grandma.
She's probably grandma.
I didn't even know we had those barricades.
I mean,
nobody told me about it.
Yeah, then no shit. Oh, I
could have saved some lives had I known the inventory that I have.
Yeah, number one,
disposal.
Didn't know they had them, and number two, they weren't being used properly. They were installed incorrectly or something. I mean, what idiots? I mean, dude, you got some major problems down there.
So getting back to our governor, Dan, I'm not a big fan of him personally, but let me tell you, in this type of crisis, that's who you want, because he's going to fucking fight. I guarantee you, he's up personally in a fucking helicopter right now, looking for him himself.
Out there in a helicopter looking for the bad guys.
Oh, he is. There's no doubt. He was a cop. He was a cop, and he was a attorney. He was the attorney general. He's a law and order guy. So New Orleans is just such a poor representation of our state, because our state, because of hurricanes and some of the things that we go through, we're pretty good in crisis, except New Orleans. They have the most crisis. They have, it's big at Mardi Gras and all that stuff, but they fumble the bag every fucking time. There's nothing they can't fuck up.
And just in the conversations that you and I have had, off air, just bullshitting, and me learning about the region a little bit. I mean, I see that. I mean, I've been to New Orleans, multiple times, but I've been to Baton Rouge as well, and it's a completely different vibe. Completely, And when I go somewhere, I look at like the public safety. All right, how many fire trucks am I seeing rolling down the road? How many police cars am I seeing rolling down the road? And obviously, New Orleans is a whole different animal, and I get that. But the fact that you live in a completely different part of the state and being a resident, you're like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, they're just not. They're not.
They could be coming to you.
They're their own state. It's really just a sad situation, but it goes back, Dan, to the American voter. The American voter is the problem, because they fall for this liberal bullshit every damn time. And this sheriff was an anti-police advocate, and now she's a sheriff. What the fuck did they think they were going to get?
And we did that. You know what? That's something we talk about a lot on this podcast. One more, and I'm out of here. Is that you got to pay attention to your local elections. We've got a bunch of judges here in Hamilton County. Hamilton County for a long time has pretty much been a law and order place, but we have judges now that simply refuse to punish criminals. They refuse to address serious criminal activity. These people get less than a slap on the wrist. They're back out on the street, and it turns out, innocent people wind up paying the price for all this. And innocent people wind up getting hurt. They wind up getting maimed. They wind up going to the hospital, and some of them wind up getting killed. So when you're, it's all fun and games to talk about stuff that the pointy-headed academicians want to sit around and talk about. And, we need to reimagine policing and all that shit.
Did you just make up a word? Academicians?
No, that's a word.
Okay. I'm asking.
Look it up. It's a word.
I'm asking.
But
I will.
But they want to sit around and think of all this stuff. And that's all fine and dandy. But when people are paying the price with their lives, I mean, who knows what these guys are going to. They caught one guy who was hiding under a car at a hotel parking lot. So they caught one dude. So at least one of them is back in custody. Here's two more. They caught two others were captured late Friday. So
here's another problem.
Some of these guys locked up again.
I've seen reports where there were 8. I've seen reports where there were 10. I've seen reports where there were 11. I don't know if they know how many people are fucking missing.
I saw 11 at first, and then it went down to 10.
Yeah, well, he was taking a shit. I mean, when they found him, I mean, it took them 8 hours so they could confirm people actually escaped.
I mean, honestly, and I'm going to say this, and I mean it. I mean it from Jason Kiefer, but I'm kind of throwing a little bit of sarcasm in there. If you really wanted to get away and you were smart enough to get away, you'd get away.
Yeah.
But a lot of people aren't that fucking intelligent or smart enough to be able to keep their head down, shut your fucking mouth, do your thing, and get away.
Yeah.
There's plenty of criminals that get away that we've never fucking found. Plenty of them.
Yeah.
I love law enforcement, but law enforcement isn't perfect, and people are going to fall through the cracks. If you could be smart about it, you could probably get away. But I'm just judging with just visual with what I saw. Yeah.
Well,
they'll all be apprehended. It's just a matter of when.
Like Dan said, or one of y'all said, accountability, transparency, which they did. They were not transparent. They withheld information for way too long. They probably would have them caught by now. Somebody would have saw them if they'd have done alerted the public in time. And then they're not going to hold themselves accountable because they're already blaming. You got the chief of corrections, who I looked him up. She hired him last year, and he came from Mississippi, and he was high up in the Department of Corrections. Well, the problem. We still haven't caught Nicole Brown Simpson's killer. Yeah, that's true. That's true, Drew. That's true. There's still a killer on the loose. OJ didn't do it, but you bring people here that they look good on paper, and this guy had more degrees than a thermometer, but I heard him speak, and he's a complete idiot, and he came from a state prison system. Well, I worked in the state prison system when I started my career in a state prison system. And then I worked in the parish. That's two totally different. They're not even similar. A state prison system, a convicted, it's a total different type of system. So I don't see where that works. It's pretty obvious if you watch these press conferences and you watch what is leading this department. It is DEI at its finest.
Yeah, and guess what? You and as Dan said many times, you get what you pay for.
That's right. Yeah, and look, you're right.
Guess what? We'll give you the DEI, but then you're gonna have to deal with all this bullshit.
I don't know what they're paying, but I think our deputies here are, they do okay, but they're definitely not overpaid. Cost of living in my side of Louisiana, cost of living on that side is light years. So that's the highest part of the cost of living in the state.
Over there?
Oh yeah, in New Orleans area.
Is that's why you got that mansion with the pool and shit that I see on TikTok all the time.
Yeah, that's right. Dan, when we're gonna be able to get you on and maybe your son on and talk about, he just started his career. I'd love to sit down and talk to him. I'd love to sit down and talk to you about, people entering this profession. Just hats off to your son for having the balls to get out there in this day and age. And I'd love to sit down with you and sit down with him and talk about that. Man.
Well, there were 40 others in that class, and I was talking about it a little bit the other night. And I mean, when you hear, I mean, just some of the brief stories that we heard of some of these individuals who were in this class, like the one kid who speaks 4 languages, the one guy's 43 years old. 43 years old, and he's just starting his, he was a school teacher and said, you know what, I can't do this anymore. Just starting his career in law enforcement.
They got one kid from, 2 kids from Senegal, but one speaks 4 languages, one speaks 3 languages.
Awesome,
I mean, and they muscled through it, man. It was, being at that graduation was a big honor for me.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I didn't realize you went.
Be there and see it. It was fantastic, and but it's also scary because me being on the fire side. I mean, and at the tail end of my career, and him starting his. Yeah. I mean, holy shit! I mean, the world that he's coming into. I mean, it's scary.
Yeah, so there's a lot of disrespect that goes on for law enforcement, but I think that's been tempered a little bit, especially with the death of Hamilton County Sheriff's Deputy Larry Henderson a couple of weeks ago.
I'm y'all I don't even have words for what y'all are going through as a community with some of the things that I've seen, and it's just very disheartening. I can't see how anybody can think some of the things that's going on is okay. And we talked about this, Jason, when you were on my show. Cincinnati Police Department, since 2001, they have become, now I don't agree with, I think they had to do some of the things they did, I don't agree with some of it, but they become the model of community relations and how they handle, incidents. And to have this happen, and then the public to turn, parts of the public, I mean, y'all are part of that public, y'all are supporting, but parts of the public to turn on them like that is just disheartening.
Dude, I'm seeing pictures of free Rodney Hinton shirts.
Oh, it's yes.
Black Panthers are already in town. They've already been to Claremont County Jail to visit him. Like, his son's funeral was earlier today.
Oh, really?
And there's been a little bit of a.
They didn't let him go, did they?
A high alert. No, he's still locked up. But there's been a high alert of, if you're downtown, watch yourself.
And you know what Cincinnati police are probably doing? They're probably keeping an eye on that funeral, protecting those people.
Yes.
Who from others who might want to go and disrupt that, or call it,
probably being heckled. And Dan probably being heckled while they do it. Which is sad.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you're definitely gun shy with what's happened here in the past, and this has obviously been a huge uptick in relation challenges. I'll put it that way. And
I don't know if
where it's going to go.
I don't know if either one of y'all are familiar with Steve Saunders, who retired as a major with the Cincinnati Police Department. Dan, do you know him?
Yes, sir.
That name does ring a bell.
Hell of a guy. I met him. Him and Tom Wells are very good friends. When Tom lost an officer 5 years ago, Steve came in and helped him tremendously get through things. They were very, Tom was a chief in a small department, and when you're a bigger department, you unfortunately experience more line of duty deaths. I was kind of that person. We had unfortunately had several line of duty deaths. And when we'd have a small department in our area, I'd go help them. The sheriff would send me to go help him plan the funeral and that kind of stuff. And Steve is going to come on my show in a couple of weeks and talk about what Cincinnati Police Department, what they have done to make them not deserve what they're going through right now. And it's very disheartening. And I hate what y'all are going through.
Yeah. I mean, you got CPD dealing with a officer involved shooting. You got Hamilton County Sheriff's Office who lost a deputy that had nothing to do with any of it.
They can't even mourn the fucking death, man.
Right. So
with all the threats and stuff they get.
But that's the way it works. I mean, we all know this. If you're in public safety, you know exactly how it works. But no, it's. I mean, I'm hoping for the best, but it's going to be a very tumultuous climate here around Cincinnati and the outlying areas, but we're getting through it. I mean, it's the support for Larry has been just absolutely phenomenal, and I'm going to shout it out. And I told him I would, just because he did it on his own. But our buddy Blake Williams, who owns Garage Golf Cincy, right here close to us, at his indoor golf facility yesterday, all the proceeds, every bit of the proceeds went to Larry's family yesterday to just get some people together. And he did it on his own. I mean, it wasn't like he didn't want a pat on the back.
Yeah.
He told me actually not to mention it, but I said, well, fuck you. I'm going to do it.
And
I mean, he did it on his own. He was like, hey, do you think this is okay? I'm like, I absolutely think you should.
I think you got to focus on that, Jason, and not focus on, the people that are, free riding, hitting and all that shit. Nothing you can say and no facts that we can prevent would fucking matter. Right. So we can't let them, it's disheartening and it's upsetting, but we can't let them, we got to focus on people like your friend, because there is support out there. And like I said, there's nothing you could say that's going to change their mind that Rodney Hinton was wrong. And some of the people that I see, I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with y'all? But there's nothing you can do about it.
We're gonna shift gears. I
want to ask James one thing before
real quick. You're more than welcome to stay on the whole time. Or
no, I'll jump off. I
want to know what you make of this James Comey thing. Who he's walking along the. I mean, puts
Thank
out
you for asking.
Narrative that I'm walking along the beach and look at this cool shell formation we found, and it's got a shells. A red shell that says 8, some black shells that say 6, so 86, and then you got the number 47 after that. And James Comey is trying to. This is the former head of the FBI. Trying to claim ignorance that, hey, I just thought it was some cool shells. So I thought I'd put it on my, on my social media post.
And which is not the first things that he's found.
Well, of course not.
I'm so glad that you asked that because I have a TikTok coming out tomorrow that addresses that. Here's my two things.
He's a TikTok master.
I'm a TikTok fanatic, man. So here's the two things that I think. Number one, he needs to go to jail. Here's the two reasons why. Number one, he committed a crime. That I don't give a fuck what he says. He absolutely knew what he was doing. That is a threat to the president.
That's a crime.
And he should go to jail. What supports that, in my opinion, too, is that the influence this man has. He has a following. He has influence. Very well, because James Comey said it. Some fucking whack job could get out there and actually carry it out because it came from James Comey. When you have that kind of influence, first off, it's a crime. When you have that kind of influence, to me, you have a responsibility to use it wisely. Even though you have First Amendment, you can't commit crimes. He should go to jail because of that. That's my opinion.
Do you want to see what a sheriff here locally posted on one of his social media pages?
I love that.
It's perfect. And I know you've heard the name Richard K. Jones. I know you've heard the name.
Oh yeah, I've heard of him.
So he posted this on his social.
Sheriff Jones is the best. And that guy, he takes no prisoners, man.
Now, what area of the state is that?
No, he does. He does.
Well, I mean, prisoners
he just charges, which is good, as he should. But hey,
what part of the state is he?
He's literally just one county north of us,
where we are.
Oh no, shit. Okay, good.
So, yeah, Richard Jones is he is very polarizing around here, but
But Tulsi Gabbard was great on this the other night.
I saw that. Yes, she's right.
Here's what she said on Fox News: any other person with the position of influence that he has, people who take very seriously what a guy of his stature, his experience, and what the propaganda media has built him up to be. I'm very concerned for the president's life. We've already seen assassination attempts. I'm very concerned for his life. And James Comey, in my view, should be held accountable and put behind bars for this. I mean, that's Tulsi Gabbard. And I got a lot of respect for her, man. She's coming out strong on this. I mean, you can't just, act like this is no big deal. I mean, and look, if this guy, number one, if he says, I didn't realize that was a political thing, or that, someone could take that to mean, let's execute the president. If you didn't know that, then that just shows you had no business being the head of the FBI. If you're that stupid and that dense that you can't process that and not come to the conclusion that it's a good idea to put this out on social media and say, oh, look at this cool shell formation. What a clown. What
James Comey,
he puts himself out there like he's some kind of Boy Scout and some kind of Superman.
Jill
true justice in the American way.
Our buddy Jill helped me because I always forget to do this, but she goes, you need to read what the picture was. But it was Richard Jones saying, we got your 647 in shells. Yeah. Obviously, I think he was at a beach.
Enough said.
I don't think he's seen a beach forever, but
Dan, James Comey is a lot of things, but he's not dumb, and he knew exactly what the fuck he was doing.
He knew what he was doing.
Therefore, he absolutely should be held accountable.
Absolutely.
So, I'm gonna jump off and let y'all finish your show. I didn't hijacked it enough, but Dan, seriously,
I got one more thing. Don't you have one more thing for him?
We got what? What do I?
Well, I thought you were going to ask him something.
Wow, anything you want. I'll stay on as long as you want. I just don't want to hijack it.
I thought you were going to ask him something else. My bad. No, no, I'm good.
Dan,
I just wanted to see what he thought about the James Comey thing. That's all.
Yeah.
Let's get together soon and get you and your son on. Let's talk about the modern day policeman.
Well, that sounds like a podcast right there.
That is. That's what we're gonna call it. Modern day policeman.
Weird. He's got one that he's asking you to be on. Do you need me to draw you a picture?
No, I just said. What did I just say? That sounds like a podcast right there.
We're gonna do it. All right. I appreciate y'all having me on again, and to all our listeners, I enjoy being here. And y'all.
Where can they find you if they're not following you already?
The James McGee Show, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok for sure. I'm on TikTok every single day, and my true feelings and personality comes out every morning around 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time on TikTok. So if you want to know what I'm about, tune in to TikTok. I let it all out there.
Yes, you do.
So, man, I love y'all. Been glad. Thank y'all for having me on again.
Brother, we appreciate you, my man. Be safe down there.
Take care.
Don't harbor any fugitives.
We will not. He don't want to come through this area. He better stay away from this part of the state or any of them, because they won't. They'll find them they'll find them right there
where they lie.
Yeah, they won't have to worry about booking them back in. I promise you.
I want to read about you being involved in the apprehension of 2 or 3 of those dudes.
That'd be nice. I'd like that.
James, we appreciate you, my man. Thank you for the insight down there.
Appreciate it. There you go. It's pretty good.
He's awesome.
That was pretty good.
If you don't follow his podcast, you should. It's fun. I've been on a few times, and he's got some federal guys in there. It's just it gives a whole different. I mean, it's mostly law enforcement stuff, but gives a whole different feel.
Yeah.
But let's hit this, because I know you were excited. You sent me this. You were excited about this, and I find it amusing as hell.
Which one is this?
So obviously there's a big trial that's there's a big trial that's going on right now as we speak.
And when we talked about it a little bit on one of our previous podcasts, and I am not following this on a daily basis. I mean, look, P. Diddy, I don't care. I don't care what he does. I don't care if anything, he wants to get his freak on in multiple different ways. By all means,
Freak off. He wants to get his
freak off, freak on. By all means, let your freak flag fly, brother. Let it fly. Consenting adults, none of my business. I'm not interested in, all the machinations of that. Now, if it involves little kids, if there's some abuse going on, things like that, well then that's where you got to draw the line. So I saw this headline about this, and you see the headline right there. Diddy accused of raping a woman who compared his penis to a Tootsie Roll. That, in a general sense, Jason, that is not a compliment.
No. I mean, even if it's the
go ahead, read a little bit of the story.
Even if it's the bigger size Tootsie Roll. The lawsuits continue to pile up against disgraced musical mogul Sean Diddy Combs, who has now been accused of raping a woman who compared his
come in
penis
different flavors,
to a Tootsie Roll in a recently filed complaint. Oh my God. You sent me that. That shit's funny.
Maybe that's why he enjoys all these, the freak offs and the sexual escapades and all that.
The alleged victim, however, said she was actually relieved when she saw the music mogul's genitalia because she knew the sexual assault would not hurt due to Combs's lacking length and girth.
Oh my God.
Not to be confused with Josh Girth.
That
the lawsuit states.
That is brutal.
The plaintiff, identified as Jane Doe, shocker, in the complaint, said she met Combs in May of 2001 and spent time with him on 3 separate occasions without incident. Once at his Manhattan recording studio, then again at a nightclub, and for the 3rd time at a restaurant. But during their 4th encounter in July that same year, the Bad Boy Records founder took Doe back to his apartment after a night out at the club, then led her to his bedroom where he locked the door, pushed her down onto the bed, the woman claims in the lawsuit. After shoving her onto the bed, Combs allegedly wrapped his hand around Doe's throat and said, "I'm going to suck the life out of you." Wow.
That doesn't sound very...
that sounds hot.
Very romantic.
Jesus Christ. The Bad Boy for Life singer then released his grip before holding the alleged victim's arm down and using the other hand to unbuckle his belt and pants, the lawsuit claims. But then Combs pulled out his, in quotes, his erect bearskin penis, which appeared to be the length and the girth of a large Tootsie Roll.
So at least it's the larger one, not because the small
but
ones.
The pictures with this fucking Twitter, fucking absolutely hilarious. So there's pictures of a Tootsie Roll. Then there's another dude with his hands over his head saying, "Ain't no fucking way, man," or "Ain't no fucking way." Sorry.
Brutal.
Twitter started rolling.
That is some brutal testimony right there.
In the lawsuit, the plaintiff goes on to recall feeling relieved upon seeing the size of the music mogul's penis, asserting that she knew the rape wouldn't hurt as much, given that and we're not laughing at the rape. Please don't take it that way. It's just, everything behind it. Given that he would be using an itty bitty Diddy to carry, and that's in quotes, to carry out the sexual assault.
Yes. Little mini me.
Oh my God. I'm not going to read this whole article, but I think we pretty got most of it.
That kind of test. That's terrible, man.
I mean, can you imagine?
How do you live that down?
Exactly. You're in court, and all of a sudden you have to deal with that. You're a shitbag because you pretty much, from what she's saying, raped her. But the fact that now
you can always whip it out.
Now you have to hear
bigger than a Tootsie Roll.
Now you have to hear be like, "Oh, fuck it. It really is a fucking Tootsie Roll." So I mean, now that he's in prison or in jail, not prison, jail. Now he's got every time he goes to the shower, he's like, "Son of a bitch." What are these guys thinking? Can we go to?
That's terrible.
As we jump off of that, can we go to Idiots of the Week?
You remember a couple weeks ago?
Oh, you want to start with that one? Yeah.
When I came in and I was having a bad day.
You came in hot.
First of all, I went to the local hardware store, the Home Depot, and there's a dude in there with a skunk. And look, I've seen people. I saw the other day. I was at the casino.
This is great.
And there was a gal walking around with her. Took her dog to the casino. And this was not, the
support dog.
The service animals have that red vest on and it says service, like someone's, they're handicapped or whatever. This dog did not have on one of those things. It was just like, come on, Baxter, let's go to the casino. Let's go play a little baccarat.
Help mommy hit the button on the slot.
It's my good luck animal.
Help mommy hit the button on the slot.
Is that going to be a thing now?
Well,
I mean, I didn't see any at Varner's event when we were, at the Belterra the other day.
There were no dogs.
I didn't see any, but no, the dude had a skunk. So I was pissed off about that. Then later that night, I go to the Chipotle, and again, terrible service. I like when I get my Chipotle bowl.
You don't have to go through the whole thing, but I'm
just saying I like to get black beans. I like the salsa, the medium salsa. They were out of that. No black beans. They were out of peppers and onions. I mean, I was pissed.
Oh,
but
dude,
apparently
that was a great episode too. You came in hotter to match.
But apparently I didn't handle the situation the right way. And I found video a day or so ago of a young lady who maybe had a similar situation as mine. And she took matters into her own hands. Here we go at the Chipotle, and she wasn't getting the service she liked, so she just jumped back there and started making her own Chipotle.
Just get her food.
Look at her.
Fuck, I'd hire her. She'd be employee of the month.
Got some sauce on there. Oh yeah, double up. Looks like she's got the double meat.
The amount of scoop she's putting on, she'd be employee of the month in my book.
What? Did she drop it on the floor?
She fucking smashed it.
Just let her make her food. Just get her food, please.
And then I saw a video today of a gal.
It's so great.
It looked like she was at a Popeye's chicken, and she was on the other side of the counter, and she grabbed a little box, and she's pulling stuff off the counter, putting pieces of chicken in this box, throws her legs up on the counter, swings around, and goes and walks out the door. All this time, I've been paying money for that stuff. I love Popeyes.
Oh, my God.
I've been doing things wrong my entire life.
Well, did you do this? Did you do this when you graduated?
Well, let's see. Do what? Because when I graduated by the skin of my teeth.
Well, and it was like fucking 75 years ago.
That's a long time ago. All right, roll the video.
Did that happen at your graduation ceremony?
Well, they're very happy.
Weird. I wanted to play this.
Been a tough 6 years.
I wanted to play this one, James, as well, but I mean, holy shit.
The thing is, though,
Sycamore High School did not conclude our graduation ceremonies that way.
Over the last 5 or 6 days,
I've
seen, I can't tell you how many videos I've seen almost exactly like that. Where, and I understand you want to celebrate your graduation, but I mean, the whole thing, it gets a little out of hand. A little decorum would be nice. And but you know what? From here on out, this is going to be the norm now.
That is the norm.
That's going to be the norm.
So let's go one more, and then we're out of here. See how I did that?
Well, what about our friends at Murphy Engraving?
What we're going to do this last video.
All right. Well, let's see.
It's the last tab I got, buddy.
Okay.
I ran through, but I had one more.
Let her rip.
We don't even talk about it.
Let her rip. What do we got?
We had a lot. We had a lot on the plate today. This is your buddy Chris Hansen.
Oh, he's great.
I fucking love him, and we're working on getting him. I've actually been talking with his publicist.
All right, set this up a little bit here. What are we going to say?
So obviously, if you don't know who Chris Hansen is, the former show To Catch a Predator.
Yeah,
now
great show.
Now he's got another show, Takedown with Chris Hansen. It says it there in the screen. He's had a couple different shows. I love what he does. I absolutely love it. There is no
Jesse Waters has him on his show like once every couple of weeks. He comes on and does a segment on Jesse Waters. Jesse Waters loves the guy.
Fun fact, you didn't know this, but for one of your birthdays, I was trying to get him to do a cameo, like one of those cameo videos.
Yeah.
For your birthday, because
that'd
I
be
know
cool.
you hate birthdays. And be like, "Hello, Dan. I'm Chris Hansen."
That would be cool.
Dude, I was
would
so
be a cool
trying. It was right when we started the podcast. I was trying to get that done, and it did not happen.
That would be a cool thing.
He's got a distinct voice,
Yeah.
and all these idiots, these predators, know exactly who the fuck he is. As soon as they walk in, they're like, "Oh shit!" So, but this guy, so setting it up. So this guy apparently is a Black Lives Matter activist. And I'm obviously reading what you guys can read, but activist and rioter Aston Mack in a child sex sting.
Oh,
so watch this video. This is great.
Please, dude, I said no. Literally have the sex trafficking line.
Get up.
I'm not talking.
Get up.
I'm not trying to anyone, please. I literally said no. Can you grab my shoe?
No.
So this BLMer's denying anything.
35-year-old Aston Mack, BLM activist, worked with challenged children in Orlando,
Nice.
claimed to me that he had the sex trafficking hotline number on his phone in his pocket, was just going to help this girl out. But the texts tell a very different story.
The text. It's always a text. The text tells a very different story.
The text definitely tell.
You can't live that down.
Story.
Chris Hansen's the best.
Dude, I love it. We're still working on him. And again, his publishers are back and forth. So it's good. It's just
I'll never forget the one, actually, the 2 episodes where they bust a guy who, he thought he was going to hook up with some 14-year-old chick or whatever. And he walks in, and Chris Hansen says, "If this guy looks familiar, that's because we saw him 2 years ago." And then it's the same guy. And then
between that one and the guy that brought in pizza, he was like, "Do you want a piece of pizza?" And offered him pizza.
And then there was another guy who comes in, and Chris Hansen comes walking out, and the guy shakes his head. And Chris Hansen says, "What's the matter?" He says, "You know what?" He says, "This whole time," he says, "I thought it was you. I thought this was I'm gonna go into this house, and Chris Hansen's gonna walk out, and here you are." I mean, he knew it. He knew he was setting himself up, but he went through with it anyway.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
He used to be a volunteer fireman way back in the day before he got into media.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. See, learned something new.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Dan Carroll here. Time to tell you about a great new sponsor for the One More and I'm Out of Here podcast. It's Murphy Engraving. Murphy Engraving is the place to go for your business, industrial, and personal engraving needs. Take a look at the Murphy Engraving page on Facebook, and you're going to see all kinds of unique items that really seem to take on a life of their own because they've been customized with an image, a name, or a logo, and all of it just really beautifully done. The acrylic sports awards that light up are especially creative and very cool. The customized bottles of bourbon, those are my personal favorite. And wait till you see what they can do with items that are made out of wood. The next time you want to recognize someone special or you're looking for that one-of-a-kind gift, you'll be glad you checked out Murphy Engraving. And a bonus, you're supporting a local family-owned business run by brothers Brian and Kevin, who is a lifetime firefighter and Air Force vet. At Murphy Engraving, they turn the ordinary into the extraordinary, and at Murphy Engraving, we are American made.